Everybody, it's Queen Set Haru, and I'm coming to you today with another exciting edition of Ask An Aquarius. So please, if you haven't already, hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys about something. I've been waiting to do this video since last night. I was hyped, like I can't wait to do this video. I gotta tell them about this. All right, so sometimes I see things and it just lights me on fire. So last night I was laying in bed and I just so happened to be thinking about happiness. I've had some conversations about happiness and some conversations about unhappiness and, those kinds of things. And something in me said, Google, are most people happy? That's exactly what I Googled. And all these articles came up. And I looked at some of them, and one of them particularly caught my eye. I looked at a lot of them. One of them caught my eye, and this is what caught my eye from it. It said at the very beginning, just 3 in 10 people feel happy with their lives. So 3 out of 10 means 7 out of 10 reported being unhappy with their lives. Then the next thing said, researchers find 69% of people feel trapped in the same old routine, and over 40% are unhappy with their lives. So it just set me off because I was sitting there like, what the hell is going on? So most of the planet, or at least most of the people in this study, are unhappy with their lives. And I thought about that and I'm like, you know what? I see evidence of that. That is very, very true. And at this point in my life, I'm in the 3 out of 10. I'm happy with my life. But for most of my life, I was in the 7 out of 10. So I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, what is the flip? What made it change? And I was like, you know what? It was me. It was me that changed. I was the flip. Because I noticed what happened. Life didn't change. I mean, my life did get better because I started doing better. That part is important. But the other piece of this is that the rest of the world didn't change. Stuff still happens. Things go wrong. People get killed. Negativity occurs. People get on my nerves. Things still happen. But what happened was I stopped focusing on the negative things that are going to happen all the time anyway, and started focusing on the positive things that happen, which is actually more frequently than the negative once I stopped focusing on the negative. And I realized that is the problem. Our global societies are focusing on the negative. And it even says it in the secret. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. And I realize that our society is vibrating in a way that we're drawing towards us more of what we don't want. Because we're all focused on what we don't want, what we don't have, what's not going right, how much money I don't have, what cars I can't buy. Some people try to use it as motivation. Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep grinding until I get. And I'm like, oh my God, we're constantly focused on the negative. We're constantly focused on what we don't have and what's going wrong, instead of focusing on what we do have and what's going right. And that's what I realized what happened in my brain was as I started to use spirituality, the law of attraction, these different things, my brain flipped. And I stopped looking at and for what's wrong. And I started looking at and for what's right. Our ancestors already knew this. If you think about it, the more stuff we started to accumulate, the worse things got. When our ancestors, the hunters and gatherers, were roaming around the same planet that we're on now, they were much happier than we are. I guarantee it. And you know why I said that? Because when we look back, and when we go back as far as we can, even to when they started to write, let's go that far. The things they were writing about, what they were talking about, they were appreciating nature, appreciating God, appreciating each other, doing dances. They didn't have all of the technology and material things that we have, but they had happier spirits. Just by looking at their writings and the things that they accomplished and the paintings they put on the walls, they were happier than us and had less stuff. Their lives were harder. They had to spend the whole day making a meal. You couldn't go to the store and get a loaf of bread. You had to actually create it and bake it yourself. So every day you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, making stuff, doing stuff, creating stuff, and they were happier than we are now. And that's because they appreciated everything they got. They looked for the good things to happen. They appreciated the good. And as time progressed and we got more technology and more stuff and we invented the wheel and we started being able to make cars, we came further and further and further away from that, to the point where 3 out of 10 are happy. 3 out of 10? Even for a small, I don't even know how many people they surveyed for this study, but even if it's a small amount of people, 3 out of 10 is pathetic. You know, life is a gift. It's a gift. And if you see it that way and use it that way, then most of the time you'll be in a good space. You'll be in a happy space. Nobody has a perfect life. Nobody. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many women you have. I don't care what you furniture, Bentleys. I don't care what you have. Nobody gets to be perfect or have a perfect life. Doesn't exist. I've met poor people. I've met kings and queens, and nobody had a perfect life. It doesn't exist. So if you're looking for it and chasing for it, stop. It's not there. But what is there? What is there is happiness. What is there is good moments. And if you add them up, there are a lot more good moments than bad moments. But we're so stuck where it's like we're fixated with focusing on the negative, on the bad, on what goes wrong, on what we don't have, on our depressions and our anxieties. And that's what happens to us. You know, a lot of Americans and people in modern societies are on drugs for depression or anxiety. And you know why? It's because of what's going on up here. These people aren't horrible. It's not. These people haven't like fallen from grace or had some kind of major thing go wrong in their life. A lot of them are just average people. But the problem is that they're just like that 7 out of 10. They are focusing on the negative. They're focusing on the depressing. They're focusing on the bad stuff that happens. That's going to happen every day anyway, if you focus on it or not. So wouldn't it behoove us to focus on the good stuff? The positive things, the happy things, the good moments? You ever notice that people always focus on what goes wrong? I was telling my friend the same thing last night because I was like, even when you get a blessing, you're still unhappy. Like, how is that? Like, and I realized from thinking about it, because our minds are trained that way. We get a blessing and we start saying, I remember one time Oprah Winfrey gave out brand new cars to everyone in the audience. Everybody get a car. You get a car, you get a car, you all get a car. Everybody got a car. And after this happened, there were people in the audience complaining because they now had to pay taxes and insurance on a new car. They were complaining about it. Some people gave the car back because of it. And I'm like, God hands you the blessing of a car and you hand the car back for that reason? I would have took that car, scraped up that taxes and scraped up that insurance money and kept it moving. Are you serious? A brand new free car? Like, it doesn't matter when somebody has a mindset that's negative, even blessings get turned into problems. And that shit like when I was reading this last night, that shit was just hitting me in my chest. And I was like, oh my God, that's most people. That's the people that I come across. That was me. That everybody I've come across in my lifetime, I would say yes, 7 out of 10. Yes, that's about accurate. And they're in that same muck. They're in that muck all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, that's what the law of attraction is talking about. Focus on what you do want. Focus on what feels good. And somebody had said to me, they were like, well, what are you supposed to do if you're broke and you have a messed up, part-time job and, you're unhappy because your bills aren't paid? How do you unthink your way out of it? I'm like, because number one, the situation is not going to change. So the first thing you do is come to terms with the fact the situation is not going to change. Not without you doing something about it. And then you decide what that something is. Okay, so you're working at a part-time job at McDonald's and you need more money for your kids, or you need more money for whatever you need it for, a new home, whatever. Well, it's not going to get better at that job. You keep working that job and you figure out, okay, what do you want to do next? How can I level up is the question. So, okay, I'm working at McDonald's. I want to do heating, cooling, and refrigeration, for example, own my own business. I want to be an electrician. I want to be a plumber. I want to be whatever. Okay, how can you do this? You need skills. How can you get the skills? Well, I need to go to school. Okay, so you work at McDonald's for your part-time time. You said you work part-time, so the other half of the time, go to school. After 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, you'll be done with your program. And now you can get a real job, a full-time one that's paying whatever is paying an hour. And then you do whatever kind of work you have to do to work your way up from there. So let's say you go from part-time at McDonald's making $7 an hour to full-time as an electrician making $19 an hour. And that's not enough for you. You want to be a manager. You want to own your own business. Now you work towards the next goal. And you keep leveling up. But while you're in the muck, while you're in the stages of trying to get up, you have to stop focusing on what's negative. You have to say, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And I'm going to be in this space until I finish whatever this program, whatever this energy, whatever this, program, training, whatever it is, college, whatever it is. Okay. But you don't stay stuck in the negative and the unhappy in the meantime. You keep focusing in your mind on the victory that you're going to have when you're done. You keep focusing your mind on the good things. You keep on praying for positivity and moving forward. And before you know it, you turn around and the 2 years is up. And it's time for you to go out there and start scouting for a job. Before you know it, you have more money. And all it took you was time and an investment into an education. So I'm not saying that any of this is easy. I'm not saying that 2 years isn't going to be a bear. But during that 2 years, you train yourself to think positively. Think about the good part. I'm moving towards something. I'm moving towards leveling up. That's the mantra in your mind. And as you're moving up, things are going to continue to get better, slowly, surely. But it's never going to get better while you're sitting at that part-time job, angry, bitter, focusing on what you do have, looking out the window, wishing you had a Bentley, wishing you had whatever. Because I think a lot of us watch too much TV, and a lot of us look at Instagram. We saw all these people with all these fabulous things. I think that's part of it as well. It's like, look at what everybody else got. Who cares what everybody else got? I don't care what everybody else got. Focus on what you're going to have. Oh, guys. We gotta live, We gotta live life like it's a gift. Because it's not promised and it's not eternal. I feel like I wasted so much of it sad, depressed, looking at what I didn't have, looking at what I couldn't do. And now I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. This is a decision. We decide that. And I'm like, you know what? From now on, I decide to focus on what is good, what is positive, what is happy. And I do it most of the time anyway. But last night I was like, you know what? That's it. Any remnants of worry, I'm not accepting in my life no more. That's it. Because for me, I come to a space where I was depressed, went through anxiety, and I just kept rising up. Now I get into moments of worry. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to fix this? And I was like, that's the same thing. Now you focus on not worrying, on trusting, or having faith that everything's going to be okay. So it's levels to it. And we all got some work to do on our levels. So no matter where you are in your process, just know that you can be higher than you are at this moment. Okay? Think about what I said. Think about shifting your focus. Focus on what you do want. Focus on what's good in your life. Focus on the simpler things. And don't compare yourself to other people. And if you got a dream, if you want to raise up, focus on it. Work on it. And you'll get to the top of the mountain. See you later.